the presents.
Oh, show me the presents. Okay, so that's the opening song. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Good.
And then blessing to the world is do 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 do
Yeah,
do
that one I think it, some of them imply a tempo more than others do.
Right,
So.
right.
And then some of them he has tempo markings on his tune especially.
Great. Yeah. Well, it'll be good. It's gonna be a small, intimate group. It looks like the rain is keeping some people away. So.
Well, I can understand that. It was boy, it was
Yeah.
coming across the bridge.
I bet it was
It
hard.
was coming
Where do you
down.
live?
I live in Oakland,
In
so
Oakland.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I came across the Bay Bridge,
Yeah.
but you know, just what we do.
That's what we do. That's what we do. The show must go
Super
on.
pleased to be here.
Oh,
Is it
nice
all
to
right
have
to
you.
keep a cup of water out here
Yeah,
on stage?
absolutely. Here's your check.
Oh my goodness.
We are
Woo-hoo.
going to pay you. It's always nice to know that up front, right?
Well,
You don't
yeah.
have to ask for it.
There you go. Yeah. Or wait for it to be in the mail, but that's
Exactly.
either way, actually. Yeah. So. Well, good. Well, really nice to meet you. How
Well,
long
you
have you been
too.
the pastor here?
I am beginning my 10th year. Isn't that wild? Yeah, I'm
Wow.
like, wow, the years have gone by quickly. So, yeah, 10th year as the minister here and worked for the church before that. So, in August, have been here for 14 years. Yeah.
And you live here in the
I
city?
live in the city, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a really interesting story about all that. I actually attended when I first moved to San Francisco in 1995. I would pass this church. I lived in Indianapolis, but my brother was out here, and he took me down on Dave Avenue to go to the airport. I would look at this church and think, when I moved to San Francisco, I'm going to attend that church.
Oh,
And
wow.
I did. So this church has been on my heart, on my map for a long time. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Really interesting. Yeah.
And do you do, now you're full-time pastor
I
now,
am. Yeah. Yes.
so, because this is, there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to
The
it.
service is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my job.
Well,
Hey,
good.
well, I'm gonna give you a hug. So
Oh,
yeah, it's a good place. We've been around. We're gonna celebrate 75 years in a couple of years.
I'm going to start out now then.
Sounds lovely.
start out with the hymn, Surely the Presence. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power of His grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power of the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power of His grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Surely the presence of the Holy is in this place, because today and every day we have swung wide the doors to the presence of God, knowing that Spirit is in this place and in all places and all people. And just as the sun awakens us to a new day, maybe not today, but the sun is out there, we know that. The Spirit of God within awakens us to divine glory. And this glory within and around us is everywhere we look and in every situation we encounter. With our hearts centered in Spirit, we can quiet our thoughts and meditate on the wonder of all of God's creation and our oneness with it. So I invite you now to take a deep breath, become comfortable, and gently release any cares of the day, because your sole purpose at this moment is to experience the divine. And you begin to do so now as you relax into this sacred time and space at Unity Spiritual Center. Seeing through eyes of oneness, acknowledging our oneness, we at Unity Spiritual Center celebrate and honor people of every culture, of every creed, of every religion, of every race, of every age, and every lifestyle, knowing that there are many paths to God, many faces of God, many names for God, but only one God. And that God is expressing through all people in unique, special, and individual ways. As you look at the flame of the candle that we light every Sunday, remember that you too have a divine flame within, that you are an individualized spark of God. You are an expression of God, and one which we need very much. We honor the one presence and power of God with Unity's foundation statement, which you'll find on the screen behind me. And I invite you to join with me in saying it aloud together. There is only one presence and one power, active as the universe and as my life, God the good, omnipotent. We give thanks for our spiritual community and for the beauty of our spiritual center. We give thanks that Unity Spiritual Center is a welcoming, God bless you, warm and inclusive community dedicated to studying and putting into practice empowering principles and tools for happiness, health, prosperity, and successful living. We give thanks that with our spiritual teachings, we can create extraordinary lives and a peaceful planet through our relationship with the loving God presence within each one of us and through our relationships with one another. Our vision and the opportunity for each one of us here is that you discover the power within you to create the life of your dreams, that you have peace of mind and deep happiness, that you enjoy joyous and loving relationships with yourself, with spirit, and with others, that you spend your days doing what you love and feel called to do, and most of all, that you know that your life matters, that you make a difference, and that the world is a better place because you're here. If you're visiting us for the first time, and I know a couple of you are, looks like you have received the gifts that we like to hand out. They're a shell-lay that has a tag on it that says, just as God has a design for every shell in the sea, God also has a design for your life. We also hand out packets of information about Unity in general and Unity Spiritual Center in particular. And I just want to invite you, if you have any questions about Unity or anything else is on your mind, please don't hesitate to contact me using the information that's printed on the back of all our printed pieces. And that goes for everyone here as well. If you'd ever like to make an appointment to talk, please don't hesitate to do that. I encourage and welcome those conversations. We also will have a hospitality hour in the next room following our service, so please do join us for that, where we'd love to have a chance to get to know you better. I also want to introduce our guest music director, Michael and Valerie. As some of you may remember if you were here last Sunday, are in Baltimore visiting their son Miles. So Michael has lined up Benny Watson, who you can tell is an old pro at doing services like ours. He used to work at Unity of Marin. So let's welcome Benny to our church. So at this time, as we move into the meditative portion of our service and prepare to raise our voices together in song, if you haven't already, please do turn off your cell phones or any other electronic devices. And I will turn it over to Benny now as we sing Karen Drucker's Blessing to the World.
is a blessing to the world.
And so now, as we continue to get comfortable in our seats and relax even more deeply into this time of worship, prayer, and meditation, let us open our hearts to receive the message of today's daily word. The word for the day is Epiphany. And Linda, I'm wondering, Linda Gay, are you interested in reading the daily word? It's always such a joy to have you here. She lives in Washington, but we consider you a part of our family. So today's daily word will be read by Linda Gay.
Epiphany. Today I greet new possibilities, newborn in me. According to the Gospel of Matthew, Epiphany represents the arrival of the three Magi in Bethlehem, scholars and priests who traveled from the east, following a star to greet the new Christ energy. They were the first to recognize the newborn child as divine love in expression. Epiphany is a timely reminder to recognize that same Christ presence in myself. My awareness may feel as small and as tentative as a baby at first, but with time and attention, it becomes a part of my being. I am continuously connected to spirit, one with a higher power far greater than my human self. With this in mind, I discover more of my expanded spiritual purpose, and I greet new possibilities born in me. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60, verse 1.
Thank you, Linda, for reading the daily word for us. Unity Spiritual Center is a center of prayer and healing. As most of you know who've been here before, we have a communal prayer box that's placed on the back table. And you are always invited to fill out a prayer request form that's printed on green paper and placed by the boxes and put it inside. And we just want to take a moment to hold those prayers that have been placed inside in our hearts, knowing that they're from members of our community. Let's just wrap every person who's represented in that prayer chest in our hearts, and know for each person represented that no matter what the circumstances are, divine love is present and divine order is taking place. As I mentioned, we have green prayer request forms that you can fill out and place in the box. We also have a new form of prayer that we started over the Christmas holidays, and that is on the back. You'll see these beautiful candle racks, and we're taking a cue from our brothers and sisters in the Catholic faith and letting you pick a candle. If there's a special prayer in your heart and you'd like a visual way of looking at that prayer and knowing that your concern is being prayed for, take one of those candles. They're LED candles, so they're safe. Switch it on. There's a little on switch on the bottom, and place it in the rack, and we will keep it there for the life of the candle. We also have a way to make our prayers audible. And this is that time to make your prayer needs to your spiritual family here known, so that we can stand with you and support you. And Benny, it occurs to me this is the one part of the service we didn't talk about. Did Michael tell you about Karen Drucker's song, Your Prayer is My Prayer Too? Okay, you ready to wing it a little bit?
Let me find it here.
Yeah,
yes.
your prayer is my prayer too. And you know, if you don't have it, we could just go with instrumental music too.
Probably here.
We covered a lot of other information, but this was not.
Just amongst yourselves.
That's right. Talk amongst yourselves. There's always a workaround, so if you can't find it, we'll just do instrumental music.
Okay, it looks like that may be the
Yeah,
place
let's
for
do that.
us in it.
So, what this is a way for people to be able to speak their prayers aloud and just feel that they're being supported by our congregation. And I think what we can do is have Benny play instrumental music. And when somebody speaks a prayer request, let's go ahead and sing "Your Prayer Is My Prayer" too. So we'll just kind of make this work on the fly. The word for this year that I'm working with is imagination. So hey, we get to use our imagination all year long, and we're going to use it right now. So if you have a prayer request, knowing that your spiritual family is here waiting to support you, feel free to speak it aloud, and we will answer each prayer request with "Your prayer is my prayer too." So everybody, a cappella, "Your prayer is my."
Your prayer is my prayer too. 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 Your prayer is my prayer too.
And we also have a time in our service where we get to share those things that we're thankful for, things that we feel particularly blessed by, our Thanksgivings. So this is a time to share those with your spiritual family if you'd like to. And then we'll end, Karen Drucker's I Am So Blessed. Yeah, so we'll end with that. So what are you grateful for on this first Sunday in January? Juanita. give thanks for this opportunity to bless and to be blessed in spirit. We give thanks for the feelings of connection, of peace and warmth that fill our hearts and minds right now. And we give thanks for the privilege of praying for others in our community, in our nation, and around the world. And again, we affirm that always and in all ways, no matter what appearances are, divine love and divine order is everywhere present. At Unity Spiritual Center, your prayer is our prayer too. Amen.
From this day forward, I shall be free. I have created a brand new me. I may look the same, but everything has changed. From this day forward, I shall be free. My prison was my own. It looked a lot like home, and I'm the one who made it so. I'm holding in my hand a pebble from this land that gives me the freedom to go. From this day forward, I shall be free. I have created a brand new me. I may look the same, but everything has changed. From this day forward, I shall be free. Choices must be made and prices must be paid. I'm the one to pay the bill. I shall find a way. I'll be the first to say that with God on my side, I will. From this day forward, I shall be free. I have created a brand new me. I may look the same, but everything has changed. From this day forward, I shall be free. The road may be rough, but it won't be enough to stop this journey that I'm taking. I know I shall find more of my kind in this wonderful life that I'm making. From this day forward, I shall be free. I have created a brand new me. I may look the same, but everything has changed. From this day forward, I shall be free.
Thank you, Benny. So good morning, and thanks for coming out. I know it was hard. I found it hard myself on a gray and rainy Sunday to to get out of bed, but I think that you will feel well rewarded that you did, because we're doing something special. This is something that we've done for a number of years. On the first Sunday following the new year, we're going to do a white stone ceremony, and it is a really special way to bring in the new year. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I think you'll be glad that you're here as well. Before we get started, let's just make sure that everybody has a white stone. When you came in, did you get a white stone and a golf pencil, little short pencil? If you did not, hold your hand up and we'll get one to you. Benny, sure. We'll get one to you. And these we actually order from a supplier. They actually come from the Holy Land. So these are special white stones that you're getting. They come from a town between Jerusalem and Hebron. And we are so pleased to be able to have you actually write on a white stone from the Holy Land. So let's talk about what we're doing first and what the context is. This is about searching for a name for our new year. And in unity, names are very important. If you've ever studied the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which is a pretty standard reference in unity, every name in the Bible has an inner or metaphysical meaning. Did you know that? So literally any name that you can find in the Old or New Testament is listed in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and it gives the meaning behind that name. So, for instance, Bethlehem means house of bread, and a person's name usually represents their character in some way, or an aspect of their personality, or something they will accomplish during their lifetime. So in Unity's 12 powers, Peter represents faith, Andrew represents strength, and John represents love. We also know that name changes are significant. They're significant in our own secular lives, aren't they? And when a person's name changes in the scriptures, it represents an increase in consciousness. And I know all of you probably know this story, but the biblical character that was known as Saul persecuted the early Christians until God struck him down, according to the story in Scripture, and he was blind for 3 days. During that time of blindness, Saul did a lot of soul searching, and according to the story, Saul had an awakening. He went from torturing Christians to helping them, and God gave him a new name at this time of awakening. Saul, which means personal will, changed to Paul, which means enlightened will. So kind of an interesting dimension to add to that story. So as I said, we're talking about names today because we're going to be looking for our own name, our name through the White Stone Ceremony. The White Stone Ceremony is about starting off the new year with a clean slate, a tabula rasa, which Benny will be singing Michael's composition later. It follows the ritual of the burning bowl, during which we release all that we don't want to bring into the new year. How many of you were here for the burning bowl? A number of you. It's always a powerful ceremony to do that. And for those of you who weren't here, again, it's a ceremony of release, so that you can go into the new year with a fresh start. So what's the significance of the white stone? Historically, during the time of the Roman Empire, when you were released from prison, you were given a white stone. You were to carry that stone everywhere that you went, because everybody knew that if you had that white stone with you, not only were you free, but you had a clean slate. You were able to begin anew. Carrying the white stone also gave you all the benefits of being a Roman citizen, which meant that the Roman army protected you, and that was no small thing. So today, we're using the white stone to symbolize how we can leave behind any personal prison that we may have created for ourselves. As I mentioned, the stones are very special because they actually come from the Holy Land. And this ceremony is an opportunity to start fresh, to leave your baggage behind. So before we start this ceremony, I just want you to begin asking yourself right now, what are the personal prisons that I may have locked myself into? For many of us, if not for all of us, it also it often has to do with a story, right? Our prisons have to do with a story that we've told ourselves or others about our past, our parents, our childhood, our ex-spouse, our mean boss. These are all personal prisons that we may need to unlock. Because while our stories are important, we are much more than our stories. And each of us has the opportunity to heal from our stories. By healing from our stories, it doesn't mean we forget them. It means we don't justify what's happened to us as a result of our story. That we learn from our stories, and most importantly, that we move beyond our stories. In the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 17, the author writes, "Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. To everyone who conquers or overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give a white stone. And on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it." So it's a beautiful verse that we're taking inspiration from for this white stone ceremony. And notice that the writer in that verse said those who conquer, which means those who are moving forward with faith and overcoming the challenges that they have in life. Those who are growing, those who are being receptive to the highest and best, to those a new name is given and a new sense of themselves. So again, keep working with this question. What are you overcoming? What are you overcoming? What aspect of your true self is seeking emergence at this time? Like that wonderful phrase, tabula rasa, there's a potential perfect you that is just waiting to be born in this new year. And this is the opportunity to release that beautiful new self. So everybody's got their stone and their pencil. Again, there's another phrase in Scripture that's worth repeating before we go into our meditation. And it's again in Revelation 21, verse 5. "Behold, I make all things new." So this is our time to make all things new. And I'll just let you know what's going to happen. I'm going to lead you through a meditation. You just need to listen with an open heart, an open mind. We'll turn the lights down. And during this meditation, you're going to be asking Spirit to tell you your spiritual name or identity that's uniquely yours in this new year. It's a little bit different from your word from the year, although it may have a relationship and may even be it. But that often is a secular way of establishing goals, right? Something that we want to see happen in the new year. This is a little different. This is us really opening our hearts, listening to Spirit, listening to what Spirit wants to call us, wants to have us focus on, wants to name us in this new year. So at the point at which I prompt you, you will write down the name or phrase. And again, I just want to say, don't use your will or your ego to come up with a name, because it can be a very special thing and it can be a surprising thing just to see what happens as a result of this meditation. And as some of you who've been here before have heard me say, often the word or name that comes to you may be a surprise. And there was a story about a woman who received the word mom during her meditation, which she didn't understand because she wasn't able to give birth. But it turned out that in the course of that year, she became an adoptive mother. So never immediately turn away or reject whatever comes to you, because it's from Spirit, and you may be surprised. One final thing to say before we begin, and that is, if nothing comes to you, don't despair. Don't feel like you did it wrong. Don't worry that you're not going to get one. Take home your white stone and keep meditating with it. And I promise you that at the right time, you will receive your word, your name. So now let's get ready for our time of meditation. And that would be great. Benny's going to play some soft music. Craig has already turned down the lights. And I invite you now just to lean back in your chair. If you haven't already, remove anything that's on your laps so you can be completely comfortable. And just take that white stone and hold it in your hands. If you like, take a few slow, deep breaths. And as your eyes are closing, just feel your body relaxing more and more. Because inside of us, inside every one of us, is a quiet, secret place, our inner sanctuary, a place where we are immersed in the presence of God, in the presence of light and love. And it's in this place, from this place, that we will now take part in our white stone ceremony. So let's begin to meditate on our spiritual name by silently affirming to ourselves this: I am freeing myself to live more fully. I am conscious of the activity of Spirit in every aspect of my life. I am releasing myself from the limitations of the past. I am releasing myself from old fears and self-doubts. I am releasing myself from the bondage of limiting thoughts about myself. Releasing limiting images of who I am and what I can do with my life. I free myself. I am now releasing myself from my personal prison and gaining a new, greater image of myself. I feel a new sense of energy. So using your mind's eye, imagine that you are stepping out of whatever prison or feelings of limitation that you have had. Imagine that the door is opening and you are walking through into freedom. See yourself being given a white stone that says, you are now free. You have a new identity. This is a new day. And this stone in your hand represents your freedom. So feel it. Feel it in your hand. Feel that smooth stone and know that it represents release. And it represents the freedom to express your truest self, your highest self, all that you can be.
to consciously surrender to the activity of God, the Holy Spirit, for the next few minutes. Perhaps there is a new career, a new hobby or area of interest, or a new quality that Spirit is pressing out through you. I invite you to let that divine holy self in you come through. Give yourself permission to know that you have a new quality, a new name. Whenever we ask, there is an answer. As you hold that white stone in your hand, hear the Christ of God that is you saying, "Behold, I make all things new." And so this is your sign of a clean slate. Whatever has gone on in the past, let it go. This is a sign of your ability in this moment to live in this new beginning. This is a moment in which you know that you are free, free from all that has bound you. And now is the time to ask Spirit for your name, the word that describes the new you, your new life. What is the new name that comes to you? Or it might have already come to you. Just let it come. And again, you don't need to try to think this up, make it happen. It is already written on your heart. Just let it come to you easily. And as that name becomes clear, just allow yourself to absorb it. It may be a title. It may be something like published author, or clean and sober, or grateful. Could be an attribute or a quality, whatever. Sometimes people write the word peace, or love, or presence, and they find that they take on a new essence of who they are. So again, just feel that stone in your hand and feel the inner spirit beckon to you. Here is your new name. Here is your new vision of yourself. Here is what you are to accomplish or to be, to embrace or demonstrate or live out. This is the name of your life for 2019. Spirit has decreed a name for you to write on your stone. So take a few moments now in the silence and meditate on your new name. come back to this place and this time. Gently open your eyes and write your spiritual name for 2019 on your white stone. A thankfulness washes over us as we sit with our new name. And with it comes the power and the guidance to achieve all that we desire. We bless these stones. Thank you, God. And having written your new name on your new stone, on your white stone, silently repeat it to yourself. Imagine the new power and purpose and direction that your new name is given to your life, giving to your life. Now here's something interesting to contemplate what's best for you. Whatever comes to you, whatever came to you, is private. You do not need to share that with anyone if you choose not to. Some people might want to. Maybe you have a prayer partner or another trusted person or friend that you'd like to share your word with. And that's fine too. The important thing is to do whatever feels right to you regarding your white stone and that spiritual name. But there is one thing that I do suggest, and that is to hold on to your white stone, to keep it handy in your pocket, in your purse, or on your personal altar, somewhere where you can touch it and look at it often. And any time you touch it or you look at it, realize that you have the gift of choice at any moment. It's not just about today or the beginning of a new year. At any day, any time, you have the choice, the gift to live differently, to live a more fulfilling life, to begin again, to connect with God, to co-create with God. That is your gift and your possibility and your promise. You can do that at any time. I want to give you another avenue of support, and that is that following the service, starting at 12:30, I'm going to be doing a workshop up in the art attic. We'll be making a vision board or a vision box, which is also a fun thing to do, a little different from a vision board. And that's where we take photos, images from magazines, words that are meaningful to us, that we feel will support us in the coming year, and we place them on our vision board or vision box. Many ways to do this. Again, totally up to you. One time I did one around my focus name, and it was pretty powerful to do that. So I just want to offer that to you. It'll be, as I said, following the service. There is no cost for that. We'll take a love offering, but no cost for that. And I hope you'll join me. So I will close our time together by sharing a beautiful poem by Debbie Ford. It's actually more of a prayer, but she titled it, it's called Drenched in Holiness, Prayer for a New Year. Dear God, on this day, I ask you to grant this request. May I know who I am and what I am every moment of every day. May I be a catalyst for light and love, and bring inspiration to those whose eyes I meet. May I have the strength to stand tall in the face of conflict and the courage to speak my voice even when I'm scared. May I have the humility to follow my heart and the passion to live my soul's desires. May I seek to know the highest truth and dismiss the gravitational pull of my lower self. May I embrace and love the totality of myself, my darkness as well as my light. May I be brave enough to hear my heart, to let it soften, so that I may gracefully choose faith over fear. Today is my day to surrender anything that stands between the sacredness of my humanity and my divinity. May I be drenched in my holiness and engulfed by your love. May all else melt away. And so it is. Thank you, God. So as Craig turns the lights back on, if you haven't already, begin now to stir, to move your fingers, your feet. Maybe take another few slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready, coming back to waking consciousness and opening your eyes. Did everyone get a name? Wonderful. And again, if you did not, just keep that white stone with you. And when the time is right, you will receive one. So, as hopefully you can tell, Unity offers positive, practical, progressive spiritual teachings and tools that honor the universal truth in all religions and respects each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. And here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. I invite you to join with me in saying them aloud together. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is we are a creative, spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by our vision, mission, and values, feeling enriched by what we've experienced here today and what we're about to experience. Let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected today to Unity Worldwide Ministries and the San Francisco Food Bank. So let's take a moment now to bless our tithes and love offerings, saying our offertory prayer together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
the infinite possibilities that are ours to choose. Filled with a mighty faith that empowers and frees us to live divine purpose and serve our community with excellence. And so it is. Amen.
And I want to thank all those giving service today, including our ushers, Kelly Beal and Craig Beal, our greeter and welcome table person, Kathy Russell. I see Candy out there, so I imagine you've been helping with hospitality. Yep. Wow. Awesome. Wow, thank you so much, Candy. Wonderful. What a great way to bring in the new year. That's wonderful. I also have a few announcements to make, and I am like so delightedly happy. That may be a bit of hyperbole, but I am thrilled to make the first announcement of 2019, the announcement that we made our fundraising goal. You know, this is exciting because we set a really big goal for ourselves. We set ourselves the goal of raising $15,000, which is the most we have ever tried to raise by ourselves as a community without a challenge grant in place. And we did it at the stroke of midnight, December 31st. We had all that we had hoped for come true, and I'm just so proud of everybody. I'm just so delighted that we really proved that we can do this. So many, many thanks to everybody who donated. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause for achieving our goal and paving our path to prosperity. Really exciting. And to celebrate, or we would have done it anyway, but we do have our CD giveaway in the back. We are trying to divest ourselves of certain things that may be keeping us from other means of flow. So we want to share our wealth with you, and we've put out CDs that are commercial CDs as well as CDs of our service. They're out in the back. Actually, Kelly, I think I'll have you raise the backlights a little bit more so people can see all the offerings. It's the bottom one. There you go. And yeah, these should go brighter. So please do take them. They're for you. If you'd like to leave a love offering, we would love to have one. But mostly we just want to see those CDs go to good homes. So those are for you. As I mentioned during the service, I'm going to be doing or offering the opportunity to make vision boards or vision boxes. So basically you'd be collaging a box instead of a board upstairs in the art attic starting at 12:30. And it's a very powerful practice to do at the beginning of the new year and a lot of fun to do it in community. So please join me for that at 12:30 if you'd like. Just leave a love offering for that as well. You have a wonderful hospitality to get to, but before that, we will bring in our kids.
Pardon? Oh, I'd be happy to. Thank you.